Thank you so much for checking out this video and for hanging out with me today. Today is all about macronutrients, or as you may have heard before, macros, and how to track and count your macros. Today I'm going to talk about first what are macros, who should count macros, and lastly, how to track macros. So let's begin. What the heck are macros? I've had so many people recently reach out to me about what macros are. So macros are the 3 nutritional building blocks. First, we got your carbs. And carbs are your body's preferred source of fuel. So basically carbs and sugars gets broken down into glucose, which gives your body energy. If you've ever had that slight brain fog in the middle of the day, or if you've been trying to cut carbs, it's because your brain loves carbs. Your brain is powered by carbs. And glucose is also what fuels our workouts. Next, we have fats. Fats are gonna help with brain health, they're gonna regulate our hormones. And then we have protein. And protein is gonna help us repair and build muscle. Our blood cells, our hair, our nails, etc. Basically, it is the building foundational macro. Okay, now that we know what macros are, protein, carbs, and fats, who should track their macros? Anyone looking to get detailed with their fitness routine, anyone trying for fat loss, anyone who wants to build muscle, anyone who wants general food and nutrition knowledge, and anyone who wants a little bit more flexibility with foods. There are other people who would also benefit from tracking their macros, but in my opinion, these are the 5 groups of people. Okay, so how the heck do you track your macros? There are a few different ways that you can track your macros. First, you can hire someone like me, a nutrition coach, who can actually give you a custom macro plan. You can also use online calculators. If you just type in macro calculator to figure out your macros, and it'll spew out some numbers for you. Or you can do it like I do by hand and use the Harris-Benedict equation. The Harris-Benedict equation is going to give you your basal metabolic rate, or your BMR. You've probably heard someone say to you before, your BMR. And maybe you didn't know what it has been in the past. Basically, your BMR is the amount of energy expressed in calories that your body needs to operate at rest. So that's to keep your energy going, your blood pumping, your heart beating, your brain functioning, basically all of those things that your body is doing every single day, that is your BMR. And to figure out your BMR, there's something really handy called the Harris-Benedict equation. There's gonna be a different equation for men and a different equation for women to figure out your BMR. So let's fast forward and say you have put all of your calculations into BMR. You're gonna need to know your age, your weight, and how tall you are for this equation. So once you get your BMR number, basically the amount of calories your body needs to function as a human being at rest, you're gonna times that number by an activity factor. And an activity factor is gonna range from 1.2 for someone who isn't as mobile, maybe they have a desk job, they aren't into working out, they go to work, they come home, sit on the couch, and then they fall asleep. So that's gonna be 1.2. There's a couple different factors in between, and then all the way up to 1.9, and this might be a professional athlete, someone who's always on their feet running around, who's just really active. I like to say that I fall somewhere in between there, and I usually give myself an activity factor of 1.4. This is gonna be a personal decision after you really reflect on what type of activity you are doing every single day. So once you have your BMR from the Harris-Benedict equation and you have your activity factor, you're gonna times your BMR by your activity factor, and it's gonna spill out the amount of calories your body needs every single day to maintain your current weight. So let's use 2,000 calories as an example, as that is generally what is recommended for most women. Now, I personally have eaten higher and lower than this, so I'm just using this as an example so that we are all on the same page. So to figure out your macronutrients, you need to figure out the 2,000 calories, how to convert that into grams for proteins, fats, and carbs. And this is how you're gonna do it. In my personal opinion, whether you're trying to lose fat or build muscle, your protein is pretty much gonna stay the same. I like to use my body weight or my goal body weight to figure out the grams of protein I'm going to consume every day for that macronutrient. So for example, currently right now, I'm just trying to get a little bit more detailed with my physique. I'm not trying to gain a bunch of muscle or lose a bunch of fat. So I'm currently 124 pounds. I would put my protein macro as 124 grams. Now you can do a little bit more than this or a little bit less than this based upon how your digestive system handles protein. For the everyday person, if you're using this to figure out your macros, just use your current body weight or your goal body weight as the grams for your protein macro. So we know we have 2,000 calories to work with and 124 grams of protein to work with. So basically we need to get those grams converted into calories. Now, there are 4 calories per 1 gram of protein. So what are we gonna do? You're gonna times 124 by 4 and you're gonna get 500 calories, okay? So then you're gonna basically minus 500 from 2,000 and you're gonna have 1,500 calories left to work with for the day. Does that make sense? Moving on to fat, I like to do it in this order: protein, then fat, then lastly carbs. Your fat macro is going to depend upon your goal. If you have more than 20 pounds of body fat to lose, or you have a really hard time processing carbs and breaking down sugars and converting it for energy, I'm going to tell you to have a higher fat macronutrient every single day. For me, I like to just leave it kind of right in the middle. I do 30% of my daily calories coming from fat. Definitely you do not want to go below 20% of your daily calories coming from fat, because then things like your hormones start to fluctuate and get kind of messed up. Remember, fat is a huge reason for balanced hormones. So I like to do 30% of my daily calories coming from fats. If I did 30% times 2,000 calories, it's going to tell me that 600 of my calories every single day should come from fat. So how do we get that into grams? There are 9 calories per 1 gram of fat. So there's a little bit more calories per gram of fat than there is for a gram of carbs and a gram of protein. So you would do 600 divided by 9 and you would learn that your macros for fat should be 66 grams of fat per day. Okay, so we have protein figured out, we have fats figured out. Now carbs are really easy. From here, basically you would minus your fats and your proteins from your daily calories, what you're getting. So 500 calories a day are coming from protein, 600 calories a day are coming from fat. That leaves us with 900 calories a day to come from carbs. Can you believe it? Yes, you can eat carbs. To convert calories into grams, for carbs, there are 4 calories per 1 gram of carbs. You would divide 900 by 4 and you would learn that your macros for carbs are going to be 225 grams. Now, this is an example based upon my body and my body type. You would figure out your specific macros based upon your Harris-Benedict equation times your activity factor. Now, let me back up for a quick second here. If you are trying to just stay the exact same weight and you're just trying to get on a healthy nutrition plan, then you wouldn't have to minus any calories out from what your Harris-Benedict equation times your activity factor gives you. But if you are trying to lose some weight, you're gonna need to minus out some calories. So 1 pound of body fat is 3,500 calories. So if you wanna lose 1 pound a week, you would divide 3,500 divided by 7, and you would learn that's 500 calories a day. So basically you would take your Harris-Benedict equation times your activity factor minus 500 calories a day to get 1 pound of weight loss a week. Sometimes it doesn't always work. Sometimes you might lose a little bit more. Sometimes you might not lose any weight. Just give it some time. Weight loss, and more importantly, fat loss, takes time and consistency to see true results. Okay, so now that you have your macros all figured out, what do you do with them? You're gonna need an app like MyFitnessPal to track your food and your macros. Luckily, MyFitnessPal is a free app that you can get on the App Store, but there is also a premium MyFitnessPal option. The difference between the free option and the paid option, the main difference that I notice is for the free option, you can only put your macros in as even percentages. So it might be 30% of your diet is fats, 45% of your diet is carbs, and the rest is protein. Now, say you want to get even more detailed, and when you calculate all your grams, maybe your carbs are 48% and your fat is 25% or 23%. You won't be able to put in 23% and 47% into MyFitnessPal unless you have an upgraded account, and then you can put in your exact grams you want to eat per macronutrient. I decided to upgrade. I love it. I like being really detailed. I like having the science at my fingertips. So for me, it made sense to upgrade. You don't necessarily have to if you don't mind working with even percentages. When you are in MyFitnessPal, there'll be a section for you to put your macros in, and then a diary and a log to log your foods every single day. Basically, the goal here is to try to hit that specific macronutrient as close as possible every single day. If you're off by a couple grams here and there, it's no big deal, nothing to stress about, but you want to try to be precise so that you are detailed with your nutrition so you can have a detailed physique if that is in fact your goal. I want you to think of each macronutrient as a bank account. Say you wake up and you have 2 eggs, an English muffin with peanut butter, and a side of avocado. That's a heck of a lot of fat to start off your day. But that's totally fine as long as you log it accordingly. And chances are you're gonna run out of fat grams maybe by lunch or afternoon, like snack time. And when you have no more fats to pull from, that bank account I want you to think of is closed for the day. And you have to move on to fulfilling your macro requirements for your carbs and your proteins. So just remember, the goal here is to actually eat all of your grams of fats, protein, and carbs. You're not trying to undereat here. You're trying to eat specifically for your goals. And that's a quick video about what macros are, who should log macros, and how to actually figure out your specific macronutrient. If you need any further help, guess what? You guessed it, I offer customized macro nutrition plans on my website, Dumbbell Blonde. I'll also drop the link below, but I'd love to help you and help you put a plan together. Thank you so much for checking out this video, and I'll see you soon.